Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, August 19th, 2014 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And
Did you miss saluting that?
we'll call roll.
Did you miss saluting?
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Burke,
Present.
Commissioner Crane,
Present.
Commissioner Fizer, Commissioner Grodzki,
Present.
Commissioner Hanner,
Present.
Commissioner Meiske,
Present.
Mayor Kirchhoff, and Commissioner Faulkner is present. We do have a quorum. We have no personal appearances scheduled this evening. We have 4 items on the consent agenda, and if it's agreeable to the commission, I would like to take item D, case 14027 Brookside 10th, off of the consent agenda for what I think is just a brief discussion. If anyone else wants to discuss any of these things in the consent agenda, we could take those off as well. Otherwise, I would move to remove case 14027 Brookside 10th from the consent agenda for discussion under new business. Sound right?
I'll second.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Commissioner Meiske?
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you.
Chairman, technically you don't necessarily need
Technically.
to. Technically you don't necessarily need to once you've requested to have the item removed from the consent agenda.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to go ahead and go forward with the vote if you'd like to. But from a technical standpoint, your request to remove it from the consent agenda removes it from the consent agenda.
All right. I still don't feel bad about taking a vote on it. So motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Meiske to remove case 14027 from consent and move it to new business. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise a hand, please. And, okay. Any opposed? Abstentions? Commissioner Burke abstaining. And so we still have 5 of us in favor of the cases off of the consent. I shouldn't even ask, should I? Maybe I didn't need to take the vote. Is that it? Okay, so on the consent agenda this evening, acceptance of minutes from our July 15th, 2014 meeting. Case 14019, Edgewater at Creekmore, 4th final plat. Case 14026, Benton House of Raymore, final plat. And we can address each of those individually, or if someone would like to make a motion to accept the first 3 items on consent agenda, we'll go forward.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Crane.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Can we call it items A through C?
Pardon?
Can we call it items A through C, just to be
Items
clear?
A through C, yes.
Thank you.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Burke. All those in favor of accepting consent agenda items A through C, raise a hand, please. 6. And we have 6 in favor, none opposed, and no abstentions this time. And that will take us ahead to old business. We have 1 item this evening under old business, reconsideration of case 14021, Unified Development Code, proposed 20th Amendment establishing Chapter 451 stormwater treatment. And Mr. Catarat, I imagine it's appropriate for you to present that case.
Chairman, If I might, could
oh,
we get a motion
sorry.
and a second to
Need the motion
reconsider-
first,
or
don't
to
we?
take up for consideration the
Yes.
previously postponed case?
Okay, I told you it was gonna take 5 times. All right. So, as I was the commissioner who made the motion to postpone this case previously, I would like to make a motion that we bring case 14021 back for reconsideration,
For further consideration.
for further consideration.
There was no vote made on the last go round.
Okay. Does that sound right? Okay. And Commissioner
I'll
Maisky?
second.
And so we have a motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Maisky, to bring case 14021 back for further consideration. If there's no discussion on that, all those in favor of bringing it back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you. And we have 6 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. So, Mr. Zur, now is it appropriate for staff report? Thank you very much. And Mr. Carteret.
Yes, sir, thank you. This case 14021 is for the proposed 20th Amendment to the Unified Development Code. This particular amendment would establish the new Chapter 451 stormwater treatment in our Unified Development Code. This was last brought in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission at your July 15th meeting. It was at that meeting that you held your public hearing and actually closed the public hearing at that time. It had discussion regarding the proposed language of the code. The commission did vote 7-0 to postpone action on the amendment. And based upon your vote earlier to reconsider this matter, is back before you this evening. Again, you had opened and closed your public hearing. You certainly could open your public hearing again because, in fact, when the motion was made to postpone it, the commission did indicate that you would reopen the public hearing when the case came back before you. So I would recommend that we do reopen the public hearing this
Okay.
evening.
Thank you.
Been published, Jim? Was that previously, was that published for?
Yes, it was previously published for the July 15th meeting, yes. The only discussion that staff has regarding the amendment this evening would be that there were some minor revisions suggested at your July 15th meeting. Staff did incorporate some of those minor revisions into what we have labeled as the second draft. This draft has been made public for all to look at. The proposed changes from your July meeting were identified with yellow highlight in the ordinance to make it easy to identify where the changes were proposed. We also inserted a notation where this particular ordinance can be related back to the city's stormwater permit that we have currently issued. So we've made reference back to that permit requirement and how the proposed language actually helps us to gain some compliance and meet the requirements of the permit. So we did that for your reference purposes. So that would conclude staff report at this time. Of course, if there are questions, Mr. Krass and I are here, and Mr. Eanes available for any questions that you may have regarding the proposed amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Carteret. I'll reopen the public hearing.
From a legal standpoint, I don't know that you necessarily have to reopen the public hearing. I think there may be an individual in the room who may speak to that. If the commission wants to take specific comment from them, they're welcome to do so. But I leave that to your discretion.
Right. Well, I think the intent was we had such a resounding public turnout at the last meeting on this, which was to say none at all. Do you have any interest in speaking on the case? Having said that, we can officially reopen and close or neither. And we'll move to discussion on case 14021. I do have a couple of minor questions, just probably a little bit of verbiage or grammar, nothing major at all, but in the, let's see, I guess that's actually the draft of the ordinance, second draft of the ordinance. On page 4, 451.040B, modification to standards, now reads, the standards shall be amended by the blank or nothing following. Oh, I beg your pardon, it does make perfectly good sense. Amended by the following process. Okay, scratch that, I'm great with that. On page 10, top of the page, item 2, which is carrying over from permit requirement, well, 42513E2, prior to expiration of the 2, I think that's just a typo, should be 2 year. And other than that, I'm fine with it. Are there any other commissioners with comments on this ordinance? Hmm? Proposed action? How brave are we? Shall we take another stab at this? Oh, sure, why not? So, let me just do a quick double check here on the end of staff report. All right, I'd like to make a motion then. I move that we accept case 14021, 20th Amendment to the UDC Stormwater Treatment, accept staff proposed findings of fact, and forward the case to City Council with a recommendation of approval.
I'll second it.
And is there any further discussion on the motion to recommend approval? No? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise a hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 6 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. Thank you. Now let me shuffle notes here and get myself back on track. Okay, so that concludes old business, takes us into new business. And having shuffled the agenda, we have one item under new business, which is case 14027, Brookside 10th, final plat. And unless any of the commissioners really want a detailed staff report on this, I'll just jump into my question on this case. So UDC, darn, that's not it. There it is. Not UDC. So my question on case 14027, Brookside 10th, had to do with the big plat, and on page 1 of 2, the concern that I had was that although some of the smaller diagrams, like the one on the front page of the staff report, down the left-hand side shows an orange area, which is the gas line. And I was concerned that there was not a specific easement shown down the west side of the full plat for said gas line. And basically, the only thing that seemed to cover it was a note on sheet 2 of 2 of the plat, note 6, which I don't think I want to read the entire thing, but basically said, note 6, item number 13 of the above referenced title commitment, blah, 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 granted to Sinclair Pipeline Company, recorded in book so-and-so, et cetera. And really the only statement that mattered, said easement is a blanket easement containing the subject property and is therefore not shown. And it simply struck me that it was unusual to have a final plat, which of course is going forward to City Council, that did not show that particular gas line on there. So did bring this to staff's attention right before the meeting, and Mr. Zur, Cataret, and Crass, feel free to decide among yourself who'd like to address that. And yeah, Mr. Crass?
I apologize, that was an oversight during our review. I think perhaps approve it with a condition that the easement be identified as the Sinclair easement. It's my understanding, I'll defer to Mr. Zur, blanket easements are no longer allowed. And so when they are, especially when they are platting, they need to identify that, and that is a dedicated easement for their use, and probably sole use, unlike a general utility easement that allows for the small utilities and those type of things. It's most likely that easement does not allow co-location of other utilities the way the typical utility easement does on the plat.
Okay, so your suggestion would be we could approve the case if we're happy with everything else, with condition that the gas line easement be added to the final plat before it's considered by City Council?
Yes.
Mr. Zur?
Yeah, I would simply ring in and reaffirm Mr. Crass's position on that. From a legal standpoint, blanket easements are disfavored in Missouri law at this point. Once they have located and identified their location for whatever they're putting in those blanket easements, they are going to be basically stuck with that location.
Okay, well, that sounds perfect to me. Since we brought the case over to new business for discussion, do any of the other commissioners have any concerns about this one? And seeing none, I suppose since I was the culprit that brought it up for discussion, Commissioner Meiske, what do you think? Shall we take a chance on another motion by Commissioner Faulkner? Go ahead. Okay, so let me just double check.
He's picking on me tonight, right?
Well, you don't have to chime in with the second, but it's always appreciated. So I move that we accept staff proposed findings of fact and forward case 14027, Brookside 10th, final plat to City Council with a recommendation of approval subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, stream channel enhancements included as part of the stream channel assessment submitted by Phoenix Engineering and Surveying, LLC, dated November 27, 2006, shall be completed with public improvements as part of the first phase of this plat. Condition 2, elements of the culvert that remain in the stream must be removed and stream channel restored as part of the public improvements associated with the first phase of this plat. Number 3, construction of a 10-stall parking lot with access from the southern end of Cedar Ridge Drive shall be completed as part of the public improvements with the first phase of 10th final plat. Number 4, grading of tract Y for a future park site shall be completed as part of the public improvements for the first phase of the 10th final plat. This grading shall include filling and leveling of the land area of tract Y that is not located in the floodplain. And I will add condition 5, that the gas line easement on the west side of the property shall be added to the final plat before it is considered by city council. Mr. Zer, how's that sound? Okay, that's it.
I'll second that.
And a second by Commissioner Meisky, thank you. So is there any further discussion on case 14027 Brookside 10th? And seeing none, all those in favor, raise a hand, please. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have 6 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. And I have to confess, I didn't really know what I was getting into with the other conditions there, so.
I was watching you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and that concludes new business. And Mr. Zer, that would take us to City Council report, if you please.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a pleasure to be able to provide this. City Council had the opportunity to meet on 2 separate occasions since our last discussions. Those occasions were July 28th, 2014 and August 11th, 2014. The reports that I provide you will be very similar to each other. Basically, what you're going to find is what I will report on for the July 28th, 2014 meeting are 4 items total, 3 of which were up for new business and a first reading. 3 of those items were again considered in the August 11th, 2014 meeting and approved at that time as part of the second reading for unfinished business. To cover them real quickly, the 4 issues that I can identify. First is the Willow Hills Lot 1 rezoning. Public hearing was held on the 28th of 2014. At that time, the City Council voted 8-0, and it was pushed back then again for a second reading to occur on August 11th. The Willow Hills subdivision, or the lot, was one that had been annexed into the city, and we were designating it with a RR rural residential designation district. Obviously, I'd also went and break my microphone. I would invite Mr. Caderet to chime in on anything that I might miss here. I usually have the mayor here as well to help keep me straight and in line, but I will trust Mr. Caderet to do so. Next item that was of consideration on the July 28th meeting for an initial discussion and a first reading, and then considered again and approved on the August 11th meeting, was a conditional use permit for the operation of an assisted living facility to be known as Benton House of Raymore. Benton House of Raymore will be operating on 4.85 acres. You, as a planning commission, had the opportunity to consider this at your July 15th meeting and approved it by a unanimous vote of 7-0. The next item for consideration at the July 28th meeting was the Foxwood Plaza Lot 2 final plat. Again, this had its first reading on the 28th. It was approved and then read again at the second meeting for a second reading on August 11th, 2014. This was Foxwood Plaza LLC and an application for final plat for Foxwood Plaza Lot 2. You all had again the opportunity to review this and approved it by a vote of 7-0 at the July 15th, 2014 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I'm going to skip back real quickly because the first item that we had on the list was a 20th amendment to the Unified Development Code. You'll recall that you had the opportunity to consider this as an amendment for the stream setback ordinance. And at that public hearing, I don't believe any action was taken. There was additional consideration made. Is that right, Jim? Okay. So no action taken at that.
Is that the 20th or the 19th?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's showing here as 20th amendment to the Unified Development Code.
We had pre-advertised that case for council meeting, and since it had been advertised for a public hearing, I simply had to report to the council that it was postponed at planning commission. It was the 20th, but there was no action or discussion.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate the clarification on that as well. The only other thing I think of any interest at all, because roundabouts have been discussed amongst this commission, is that a roundabout design services and a roundabout welcoming feature committee. There was an agenda item for a memorandum summarizing an RFQ for that was considered by the council, but that's about the extent of it. No specific roundabout that I was identified. And that's all in my city council report.
Thank you, Mr. Zur. Mr. Carteret, if you'd like to give us the staff report and planning pipeline, please.
Thank you. I will begin with just advising the commission on an action that our Board of Adjustment took. They had a meeting on August 12th, and it's in reference to an application that will be coming in front of the commission. On August 12th, the Board of Adjustment considered a request for a variance to our parking requirement, our minimum parking requirement for the Benton House facility. I believe when we considered the conditional use permit, it was noted that they may be applying for that reduction. The board did grant the variance. It allows a reduction of the minimum number of spaces from 73 to 62. The reduction of spaces would then meet the requirement for not only the first phase, but the second phase. With the first phase, they'll have 59 units. And so with a 1-to-1 parking ratio, the 62 spaces clearly meets the requirement for the first phase. It was the additional 14 units with the second phase where they fell short with the parking requirement. The board did hear testimony from Hunt Midwest regarding very, very similar facilities they have elsewhere in the Kansas City area, where the proposed 62 spaces is a higher number of spaces they have than any other facility. So they did try to respect our code as close as they could without utilizing, if you would, too much of the space of the lot just for parking. They simply don't have the need for 73 parking spaces for the facility. So the board did grant the variance, and so when it comes before you, at least the parking ratio would be in compliance for your consideration. You will be seeing the actual site plan for the project at your September 2nd meeting. So Hunt Midwest representative will be back before you to give you the full details of the site plan for that project. Second on that agenda, September 2nd will be your public hearing for the city's capital improvement program. Each year, the city manager, this year will be the acting city manager, Jim Fearborn, will be before you to provide the city's proposed capital improvement program to get your guidance and input on what is proposed not only in this budget year, the first year of the CIP, but as well as the next 4 years of the program. So that's the annual public hearing you have on that plan. We currently do not have anything scheduled for the September 16th meeting, but we certainly want to keep that open. I believe there will be an item for that particular meeting. So that's what we have currently on the schedule for the commission.
Yeah.
And just one note, for the commission's information, the proposed 19th amendment to the UDC, which was our stream buffer ordinance provisions, will be on the agenda for City Council on August 25th. It will again be a first reading of the ordinance, and it will be a public hearing. And then based upon your recommendation earlier this evening, the 20th amendment to the UDC will also be on that agenda for a public hearing in front of the council. But I was most interested in making sure you knew that the stream buffer would be on the agenda for the council's consideration.
Yep, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Carteret. All right, at this time, we open the floor for public comment. If anyone from the public would like to speak at this meeting, feel free, and seeing none, we'll open the floor then for commission member comment. Commissioner Burke, want to start?
I have no comment at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Grodzki.
No comment.
Commissioner Crane.
No comment.
Commissioner Meiske?
I have one comment.
Good.
I didn't want you to feel left out. How are we doing with the offices? The city offices here?
With the remodeling work.
Yeah, the remodeling.
It is 95% complete. All the actual structural work has all been done. This evening, they're actually putting carpet down
Okay.
in the area, which will allow the 2 employees to be able to start moving in, sometime tomorrow or certainly by the end of the week. So it'll be fully functional, I would say Monday of next week, when all of our the necessary furniture and equipment's within the office. So you can tell the counter's there, the roll down door's there, so it'll be fully operational on Monday.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Other than that, no comment.
Well, darn. Okay, well, I always seem to have a comment, but we have a good body of city staff here this evening and appreciate your help always. Mr. Crass, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see you. Mr. Eanes, Mr. Zerb, Mrs. Johnson, and Mr. Carteret. As always, I am not exaggerating. We could not do this work without your help. You do the bulk of the work, and we simply do the consideration and voting. Oh, I know. I'm actually going to let Commissioner Hanner have the final say this evening.
I just had one question, and this brings back, I see in your department activities, the comment about the sidewalks. So way back once upon a time, we had this sidewalk discussion in here. Do you have any, off the top of your head, idea how many folks have not complied with the letter? The time is up. I was just wondering.
Yes, at this point in time, and the discussion's on sidewalks on undeveloped lots, and City Council has set a public hearing for September 13th. And we are currently would have 70 undeveloped lots in the city that are undeveloped lots that would require the installation of the sidewalk. So the number is going down. We have had a number of individuals install the sidewalk on the undeveloped lot. We've had a number of the lots have a permit for a home built, which will take care of the sidewalk. And again, we're left with the list of 70. That list will be reduced before the public hearing based upon comments that I'm getting, calls that I'm getting, but still a number of lots. And again, this is the first year of what will be an annual program, so we're gonna have a lot of lots the first year, 70, but as we move forward each year, that number will be greatly decreased, but there will be a continual program. We're already tracking lots that have been triggered this year because of other lots being built upon that will have to do the installation of the sidewalk in 2015. So, but right now we're down to 70. So.
Okay, thank you. I have no further comment. Thank you.
Sure. Unless any of the commissioners have anything else to discuss, I'd entertain a motion. Wow, okay. A motion to adjourn. What's that mean? I'm absolutely shy now. I'm not touching this one with but we have 5 other commissioners, each perfectly capable of moving to adjourn. What do you think?
Mr. Chair, I'd like the motion that we adjourn tonight's planning and zoning meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanner. Do I hear a
Second.
second? And a second by Commissioner Burke. Unless there's any discussion on the motion to adjourn, all those in favor raise a hand, please. And we are 6 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. Thank you. I thought you were.
You were waiting for me to make the motion? Hey, we're not getting out late enough tonight. I'm fully expecting us to stay here another half hour.
I'm shocked that we're done.
It's still daylight out. What's this?
I did not anticipate that at all.
And I noticed that daylight is now coming to an end about a half hour earlier than it was. Winter's approaching.
I don't want to go home.
I have a hunch a bad one is approaching.
I was walking.
This is why Raymore has bars.
I was putting a child in timeout as I walked out the door. I don't.